So you're thinking about buying a house and you want to know how much house you can actually afford based on your current income. Owning a home can be an amazing investment, but for a few it can be an extremely stressful situation. For some, they end up house poor. I want to talk about a few things in today's video. First, what's affecting affordability today, then how much home you can afford based on your income, and also how to calculate this on your own, and then how to avoid being house poor. Really, this means how to handle the budget and pre-approval steps when you're talking to a lender to avoid being house poor. So first, let's start off with the 3 factors affecting home affordability today. There's been a lot of focus on higher mortgage rates and how they're creating affordability challenges for today's home buyers. And it's definitely true. The rates climbed dramatically since the record lows we saw during the height of the pandemic. But home affordability is based on more than just mortgage rates. It's determined by a combination of mortgage rates, home prices, and wages. Considering how each of these factors is changing gives you the full picture of home affordability. First, mortgage rates. While mortgage rates are higher than they were a year ago, they've hovered primarily between 6 and 7% for nearly 8 months now. As the graph shows, mortgage rates have experienced some volatility during that time, and even a small change in the mortgage rates impacts your purchasing power. In fact, a good rule is that 1% increase in the interest rate usually affects your purchasing power by about 10%, meaning that if you want to keep your monthly payment at a certain amount, a 1% increase in the interest rate changes that amount that you can borrow by about 10%. Here's an example. While there is a lot of information on this chart, let's just focus on a couple of things. First, let's say that you are trying to keep your monthly payment to below $2,200 a month. Let's look at 6%. At 6%, you can afford a $400,000 mortgage. However, if interest rates go up by 1%, now you can only afford a $360,000 mortgage. Your buying power decreased by 10% or $40,000. But how much will my mortgage payment go up if interest rates rise? This is going to depend on your mortgage amount. But in this example, you can see it's about $250 when you go up from 6% to 7% on a $400,000 mortgage. Keep in mind, it's not just about the monthly payments, it's also about the amount you pay over the life of the mortgage too. That's why it's so important to lean on your team of real estate and lender professionals for expert advice to stay up to date on what's happening in the actual market. While it's hard to predict where mortgage rates will go from here, many experts agree that it will likely continue to remain around 6 to 7% in the immediate future. Some experts are predicting that it's going to go down later this year, but only time will tell. Number 2, home prices. Over the past few years, home prices appreciated at ridiculous speed as the record low mortgage rates we saw during the pandemic led to a huge increase in buyer demand. The heightened buyer demand happened while the supply of homes for sale was at record lows, and that imbalance put upward pressure on the home prices. However, today's higher mortgage rates have slowed down that home price appreciation. And the truth is, home price appreciation varies by market. So some areas are seeing slight declines while others are still seeing prices that are climbing. As Selma Hepp, chief economist at CoreLogic explains, the divergence in home price changes across the US reflects a tale of 2 housing markets. Declines in the West are due to the tech industry slowdown and a severe lack of affordability after decades of undersupply. The consistent gains in the Southeast and the South reflect strong job markets, in migration patterns, and relative affordability due to new home construction. Here in Thurston County, we are seeing prices having a slight depreciation year over year, but overall we are trending positively month over month. So we shouldn't see any huge depreciations in our area. Number 3, wages. The most positive factor in affordability right now is rising income. This graph uses data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, to show how wages have grown over time. Higher wages improve affordability because they reduce the percentage of your income it takes to pay your mortgage, since you don't have to put as much of your paycheck towards your monthly housing cost. Home affordability comes down to a combination of rates, prices, and wages. So now you know more about home affordability, let's go over how much mortgage you can afford based on your income. So of course the next step you're going to ask is, how much mortgage can I afford based on my income? Let's go over this chart. Keep in mind these are estimates, so talk to your lender for more concrete information on your specific situation. First, to find out the income needed for a $350,000 mortgage, we need to calculate what the mortgage payment would be. For a $350,000 loan, 5% down, remember you don't need 20%, that's a myth, So at 5% down, you need $17,500. At a 6.5% interest rate in Thurston County, your monthly payment would be $2,772. This monthly payment includes principal and interest, taxes, insurance, and PMI, since the down payment is less than 20%. The rule of affordability, or the mortgage affordability rule, is that 28% is the amount needed to live comfortably and afford a payment at any price level. So to calculate it out, we need to divide that mortgage payment by 0.28 to get the monthly income, and then multiply that number by 12. So in this example, you would need an income of $118,800 to live comfortably with a $350,000 mortgage. Going down the chart, the income needed for a $400,000 mortgage is $133,200. That income needed for a $450,000 mortgage is $147,600. The income needed for a $500,000 mortgage is $162,000. The income needed for a $600,000 mortgage is $190,700, and the income needed for an $800,000 mortgage is $248,200. So if you want to know, hey, how much can I afford? This chart is going to give you a good estimate. All right, now I want to talk about how to avoid being house poor. I did a video previously on being house poor, and I'll link that here and also put it in the description below so you can check it out later. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this here. First, it sucks being house poor. It's real and it still happens, it's stressful and miserable, and it's just a horrible place to be in. Before I go any further, if you are currently house poor, let's chat to see what options are available to get yourself out of it. And if you think that foreclosure is the only way out, let's talk first. And don't feel bad about being in this situation. Like, there's no judgment. It can happen for any number of reasons, a lot of which are out of your control. So let's talk. So unfortunately, one of the ways that it happens is because there are a lot of banks and lenders out there who don't always have your best interests at heart. And honestly, most of them, well, maybe not most, but a lot of them will tell you what you're pre-approved for based on income and debts, and just that. They don't necessarily go over your budget with you. They don't go over what monthly payment would make you more comfortable. So if you aren't careful, you can end up with a monthly payment that's way more than you can afford comfortably. I recommend a couple of things. First is that before you get pre-approved, you do a budget, so you know what all your expenses and incomes are. Doing this will allow you to see everything that you're paying for each month, and sometimes it can help you find things to get rid of. But at the very least, it will let you know where you stand and what you can truly comfortably afford, and it might not be that 28%. You can download my home buyer's guide for free. The link is below in the description. And there is a budget worksheet in there that will help you get this part nailed down. Like I said, this should be done first before you get your pre-approval. So when you're actually meeting with that lender, you can go in and say, this is what I have to put down. This is what I have for closing costs. What can I get pre-approved for that will still allow me to stay below this monthly payment? And make sure that monthly payment includes everything: principal and interest, taxes, insurance, PMI, HOA fees, or at least an estimate of. So by having this information and this budget done ahead of time, the lender knows where you want to stay at a monthly amount. So the next step with a lender is to say, hey, can I get a fee sheet for a house at this amount, one at this amount, and one at this amount? For example, you've been pre-approved for $400,000. Ask for one at $400,000, $375,000, and $350,000. And the reason is that you can see how much of a difference your monthly payment is at each of these prices. You're able to see a range, and that will allow you to have more information when you're looking at houses and eventually when you're putting offers in on a house. By having these budget conversations and monthly payment conversations up front, you go into the home buying process with more information and your eyes wide open. This allows you to make sure that we've set you up on the appropriate search depending on what's going on in the market. What do I mean by this? Well, let's say we start seeing the market go a little bit crazy with these multiple offers again, where you need to offer over listing price. And if your budget is no higher than $400,000, then we need to make sure that that search tops out at, say, $380,000. I'm not going to show you $400,000 houses unless you have the cash to pay for your down, your closing costs, and the amount over $400,000 that you would need in order to be considered for that multiple offer situation. For example, $10,000. This is a totally hypothetical amount, by the way. Or if we're seeing a market change to more of a buyer's market, which is not where we are and probably won't be for a while. But just as an example, if we were to change to a buyer's market, I would set the search at a little bit higher than max, because we would see housing go under contract at maybe less than list price potentially. I repeat, that's not the market situation that we are in, but this is just an example why it's important to get this information ahead of time so we can set your search up appropriately. If you're planning to buy a home, knowing the key factors that impact affordability is important so you can make an informed decision. There is a lot that goes into the conversation. My goal is to make sure that you have the information you need to make an informed decision. So if you have questions, please reach out. I'd love to help you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.